Tonight, I'll tell you a story about an owl unlike any other, an owl who didn't just watch the world sleep, he could actually see your dreams. Welcome to Epic English Stories. Listening to English stories before bed helps you relax, improve your vocabulary, and absorb natural sentence structures, even in your sleep. So close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let's begin. Part 1. The Forest That Never Slept. In a forest where the stars shimmered like silver leaves and the wind whispered old secrets, there lived an owl named Orin. But Orin was not like other owls. While most owls hooted in the night, hunted for mice, or perched quietly in trees, Orin had a strange gift. He could see dreams. Yes, real dreams. While the world slept, Orin soared above the forest canopy, and everywhere he flew, he could see streams of color rising from sleeping creatures, like glowing ribbons made of light and memory. Some dreams danced like music, others shivered like a storm. And Orin? He watched them all, but no one knew. Not the foxes that curled under the roots, not the bears that snored in dark caves, not even the wise old turtles who claimed to know every secret in the forest. Orin kept his gift to himself. Until one night, everything changed. A dream that screamed. It was a quiet night, one where the moon looked sleepy and the wind barely moved. Orin flew over the sleeping hills, a peaceful area where nothing ever went wrong. But then, he saw something strange. A beam of light burst into the sky, red, crackling, angry. It came from a sleeping young fox named Luma. Her dream wasn't like the others. It wasn't music. It wasn't mist. It was fire and fear. And then Orin saw it. A black shape inside the dream. A shadow with no eyes and no name. Orin flapped his wings and flew away, his heart pounding like thunder. Dreams don't hurt the dreamer, he whispered to himself. Do they? But Orin knew. This one could. Have you ever had a dream that felt too real? Tell us in the comments. And remember, listening to bedtime stories helps your English grow while your mind rests. Part 2. The Dream That Followed. The next night, Orin returned to the sleeping hills. He didn't plan to. He told himself, there are hundreds of dreams to watch. I don't need to go back. But he did. Because something about Luma's dream, the fire, the fear, the shadow, it had followed him. Not in the air, not in the trees, but in his mind. Orin didn't sleep during the day like other owls. He stayed awake, thinking, worrying, wondering, why would a fox dream of darkness? What could that shadow be? When he arrived again above Luma's den, he looked down and saw nothing. No dream colors, no glowing threads, not even the soft shimmer of sleep. Luma wasn't dreaming. She wasn't even there. The search begins. Orin searched the hills, flying silently under the stars. He checked the hollows of tree roots, the spaces between boulders, the berry patches, the winding trails. Nothing. Until he heard a rustle. A soft, frightened sound. He swooped lower toward the Silver Creek. And there, hidden beneath a fallen log, was Luma. Eyes wide open, shivering, awake. Why aren't you sleeping? Orin asked gently, though she couldn't understand owl speech. Still, she answered in her own way, with a frightened yelp and trembling pause. Then Orin noticed something. A dark shimmer behind her eyes. A whisper in the wind. A scent that didn't belong. The dream had followed her into the waking world, a dangerous discovery. Orin had never seen this happen before. Dreams stayed in dreams. That's how the world worked. But now, something was breaking the rules. Could dreams escape? He flew back to the elder tree, the oldest, tallest tree in the forest. Deep in its roots lived a creature that even owls spoke about in hushed tones, the moth keeper. She had seen more dreams than anyone, and she didn't like being disturbed. If your dreams could follow you into the real world, would that be exciting or scary? Why? Write in the comments. And remember, as you listen to English stories like this, your ears grow stronger, your understanding deepens, and words become your friends. Part 3. The Moth Keeper's Warning. The elder tree stood in the very heart of the forest, older than time and taller than dreams. Its bark was rough with stories, and its branches touched the stars. Orin fluttered to a knot in its trunk and tapped 3 times with his beak. Knock, knock, knock. The wood creaked open, and out fluttered something half moth, half woman, glowing faintly with moonlight. Her wings shimmered in patterns no creature could understand. Her eyes blinked slowly, like they'd just awoken from centuries of sleep. She was the moth keeper, guardian of night knowledge and whisperer to dream spirits. "What troubles the dream-seeing owl?" she said, her voice like dust and silk. Orin bowed his head. "There is a fox," he said. Her dream was full of fire and something else, a shadow. But now she is awake, and the dream has followed her. The moth keeper's wings froze mid-flutter. "You saw a shadow?" she asked slowly. Orin nodded. "Did it have eyes?" she whispered. "No." She turned her face away. "Then it has begun." The shadow, known by no name. The moth keeper spoke of an ancient dream, older than the forest, older than the stars above it. A dream born when creatures first learned fear. Most dreams are made from memories, wishes, thoughts that rise like bubbles and pop quietly in the night. But this one? This dream was made from silence and stayed even after the dreamer woke. "It is called the Nameless," said the moth keeper, "because no creature who sees it can describe it. Not truly, not with words." Orin ruffled his feathers. "But what does it want?" The moth keeper stared into the dark. "It doesn't want anything. It feeds on fear, on doubt, and once it finds a mind it likes, it returns, again and again." "And the fox?" Orin asked. "She is its mirror now. If it grows stronger inside her, it could leave her and move on to others. Then I'll stop it." The words escaped Orin's beak before he could think. The moth keeper turned her eyes to him, surprised, almost sad. "You are just an owl," she said softly. "You see dreams, but you do not shape them." "Maybe," Orin said. "But if I can see them, maybe I can change them." He flew off before doubt could catch him. Below, the wind stirred the forest, and far away, in the shadows between trees, something without a name began to smile. Story reflection. Have you ever tried to change a dream? Can we really control them? And what if, just like Orin, you had the power to help someone through their nightmare? Remember, each time you listen to English stories, your imagination grows, and so does your language. One word at a time. Part 4. Into the dream itself. Orin flew faster than he ever had. The trees blurred beneath his wings. The stars above looked like streaks of candlelight. His heart beat with one thought: I must find Luma before it's too late. When he reached the Silver Creek again, the log was empty. No paw prints, no scent, not even a whisper of fur in the moonlight. Luma was gone. But Orin had something better than scent. He had her dream print. He closed his eyes, focused, and there, faint as mist, was the ribbon of her last dream. A glowing thread of silvery red, fear, fire, and fading hope. He followed it, the place between waking and dreaming. The ribbon didn't lead to a den, or a clearing, or even a real place. It led to a grove Orin had never seen, where the trees twisted like question marks and the ground pulsed like a heartbeat. There, Luma lay on her side, eyes open, but not awake. She was trapped between dreaming and waking, exactly where the Nameless wanted her. As Orin landed beside her, the air grew colder. He could feel it now. The shadow. It oozed from the edges of Luma's fur, whispering things no ear could hear. You are not strong. You are alone. No one sees you. No one can help. Orin stared at Luma's closed eyes and made a decision. I will enter the dream. Flight into the fire. Dream walking was dangerous, even for Orin. He had never entered a dream before. He only watched. But for Luma, he would try. He pressed one wing gently over her heart, closed his own eyes, and whispered a rhyme the moth keeper had once taught him. Where fear walks, I follow. Where shadow lies, I soar. Open now the dreamer's door. Suddenly, the forest melted around him. The ground turned to clouds. The stars spun into spirals, and Orin was inside. Inside Luma's dream, the world of her fear. Everything was burning. Trees crackled like bones. The sky roared with orange thunder. The air smelled of smoke and sorrow. And in the middle of it all stood Luma, small, alone, facing a giant shadow with no face. Orin swooped between them. Luma! He cried. You're not alone! She didn't hear him, not yet. The shadow turned toward Orin now, and for the first time he felt it fully. Cold, empty, endless. But he stood his ground. He was just an owl. But a brave one. Let's pause and reflect. If you could fly into someone's nightmare and help them, would you? What would you say to make them feel less afraid? Listening to stories like these not only teaches you English, it teaches you empathy. And empathy is a language the whole world understands. Part 5. The Voice in the Fire. The shadow towered over them. It had no face, no form. Just a swirling presence, like a storm made of every sad thought Luma had ever had. Orin flapped his wings wide and called again, louder this time, not with fear, but with feeling. Luma, this isn't real. It's only a dream. She didn't move. The shadow moved closer. Flames curled at its feet. You don't matter. It hissed in a voice only Luma could hear. You will never matter. That was when Orin did something no owl had ever done before. He sang. Not with notes, not with melody, but with memory. A song made of dreams. Orin's voice echoed across the burning world. He sang of the time Luma had helped a bird with a broken wing. He sang of the night she shared berries with a hungry hedgehog. He sang of her laugh, bright as sunlight on snow. He sang of how she mattered. Every memory was a note. Every truth was a sound. And slowly, the flames around them began to dim. Orin? Luma blinked. She saw the shadow, the fire, the fear, but she also saw him. Orin? She whispered. The shadow stepped back. Orin turned toward her. You don't have to believe the shadow, Luma. It only tells lies. I thought I was alone, she said. You're not. She looked at her paws, at the dream-scorched ground, and then she stood up. The shadow hissed and lunged, but Luma didn't flinch. Instead, she closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and said, You are not real. The shadow screamed and shattered into smoke. Waking, the world of fire faded. The flames turned to sparks, the sky cooled, and Luma's dream reshaped itself. She was back in the silver field. No burning trees, no fear, just her. And Orin. You came for me, she whispered. Orin nodded. You didn't dream alone. What happens when we believe in ourselves? Sometimes our minds tell stories that scare us. But just like Luma, we can face the shadows. And just like Orin, we can help others face theirs. Stories like this help your English grow in a gentle, powerful way. The more you listen, the stronger your thoughts and words become. Even while you sleep. Part 6. The return to light. When Luma opened her eyes, really opened them, the dream was gone. The burning forest, the shadow, the fear, all vanished like mist in morning sun. She lay in a meadow kissed by moonlight with dew on her fur and stars above. And next to her, sitting still as stone, was Orin. She looked at him with quiet wonder. I remember, she whispered. I remember everything. Orin hooted softly, proud but tired. He had never entered a dream before, never stood against fear so directly. His wings ached, his eyes were heavy, but his heart felt lighter than ever, back to the trees. Luma followed Orin to the edge of the forest. The journey was silent, but not uncomfortable. As they passed under the tall pines and willows, every sleeping animal they passed gave off gentle dream light, soft and peaceful. No shadows, no red flashes, no cries in the dark, just rest. They returned to the elder tree. The moth keeper was already waiting, her wings glowing like distant galaxies. You entered the dream, she said, eyes wide. Orin bowed. And we returned. The moth keeper looked at Luma, who stood tall beside him. She is stronger now. She always was, said Orin. She just forgot. A new power. The moth keeper leaned closer to Orin. Few have ever dream entered and returned unchanged, she said. You are not just a dream seer now. You are a dream carrier. What does that mean? It means you can help others find their way back from fear. You don't just watch dreams, you walk in them, you guide. Luma looked up. Does that mean he'll help more creatures like me? The moth keeper smiled. Yes, if he chooses. Orin looked into the stars above. He thought of the shadows that might still hide in other dreams, and he nodded. I choose yes. Imagine this. If you could help someone through their worst fear, even if it meant entering their dreams, would you do it? Write your thoughts in the comments. Every story you listen to, every word you learn becomes part of your own journey, one dream at a time. Listening in English before bed doesn't just help your brain. It feeds your heart too. Part 7. Whispers in the Wind. Words spread quietly through the forest. They didn't speak it aloud, animals rarely did, but somehow everyone felt it. The owl who could see dreams had changed. The owl who once just watched from the shadows could now enter dreams, carry light through fear, and return stronger than before. And the animals? They began to believe. The first visitor. One dusk, as silver dust settled over the meadows, a timid rabbit named Tola appeared at the base of Orin's tree. She didn't speak owl, but her eyes told her story, wide with worry, dark with exhaustion. Her dream was troubled. Orin saw it instantly. A dull grey mist wrapped around her like a second skin. She hadn't truly rested in weeks. He flew down, landed gently beside her, and blinked slowly. I see your dreams, he whispered softly. Tola's eyes filled with tears, and for the first time in her life, she didn't feel ashamed of her fear. Entering the rabbit's mind. That night, as Tola slept beneath Orin's tree, he entered her dream. This one was different than Luma's. There was no fire, no towering shadow. Instead, it was emptiness. A field of nothing. No trees, no home. Just a cold wind and the echo of a single thought. You are not needed. Orin glided through the silence, and then softly he called, Tola, do you remember the winter when you warmed your siblings with your fur? Her ears twitched. Do you remember the time you shared your last carrot with a stranger? The wind paused. Orin's feathers glowed with memory. You are needed. More than you know. A dream that changed. As morning approached, the grey field began to fill. With green grass, gentle winds, burrows, friends, and laughter. Tola woke with her whiskers twitching, and for the first time in many moons, she felt rested. Thank you, she whispered, even though she wasn't sure if Orin heard. He did. From his perch above, he smiled silently and blinked at the morning sun. A thought for tonight. What if someone out there is dreaming of nothing but silence? And just one kind word from you could change that? That's the power of stories. That's the power of English and of kindness. And when you listen to bedtime stories like these, your words grow strong and warm, enough to comfort even the quietest dreamer. Part 8. The forest begins to speak. After helping Luma and Tola, something shifted in the forest. It wasn't loud. It wasn't sudden. But it was real. Birds who had stopped singing sang again. The river, which had grown quiet, flowed with playful ripples, and animals who once feared sleep now welcomed it. They began to dream again. Not all dreams were perfect. Some were still tangled, some still dark. But now they knew someone was watching. Someone cared Akaki, a deeper shadow. Then came the bear. His name was Bran, a great, lumbering creature with eyes like storm clouds and scars across his snout, not from battles, but from dreams. He had not slept in over 10 nights. When he walked, the ground trembled. When he sighed, leaves fell. He didn't speak often, but when he did, his voice cracked like tree bark. I cannot rest, he murmured, approaching the elder tree. The moth keeper, who had sensed his approach days before, nodded solemnly. You carry an old fear, she said. Bran turned to Orin. Will you enter it? He asked. Orin looked at the size of the bear and the weight of his words. Then he nodded. I will. A dream buried in ice. That night, Orin perched on a rock beside the snoring bear. His breathing was deep, slow, as though even his fear had grown tired. Orin entered his dream. It was cold. So cold, the wind felt like knives. Bran stood alone on a frozen lake, surrounded by the ghosts of his past. A mother he had failed to protect. A brother lost to hunger. A cub he had once frightened with a roar too loud. They whispered to him, You should have done more. You are not safe. You are not worthy. And then the ice began to crack. Standing on thin ice, Orin flapped above Bran's head, calling to him through the wind. These voices are not the truth. They are your guilt, not your story. But the bear only lowered his head. I deserve to sink. Orin didn't try to argue. He simply flew lower, landed on the bear's shoulder, and said the softest thing a dream spirit had ever said. Even strong ones are allowed to fall, but that doesn't mean they must stay down. Safe Suri. Ice held. The cracking slowed. The voices dimmed. Bran opened his eyes in the dream and for the first time looked at himself. Not as a monster, not as a failure, but as someone who survived. and still had time to heal. Morning light. Bran awoke with dew on his fur and peace in his chest. He didn't say thank you. He didn't need to. Orin saw it in the calm behind his eyes, and when the bear finally yawned, not from fear, but from rest, the whole forest seemed to sigh with relief. We all carry things we wish we could forget. But what if we shared them? Or let someone help us carry them for a while? English isn't just about grammar or vocabulary. It's about understanding people and sharing stories that help hearts rest. You're doing that each time you listen. Part 9. The moth keeper's warning days passed. The forest bloomed. Bird songs returned. Foxes played under moonlight. Even the owls from far off hills spoke of Orin with quiet respect. But one evening, as stars blinked into the sky, the moth keeper called Orin into the inner chamber of the elder tree. Her wings shimmered with unease. "I must tell you something," she whispered, "about dream walking." Orin tilted his head. "Is something wrong?" She nodded. "The deeper you enter others' dreams, the further you move from your own. Too many steps in the minds of others, and you might forget your own truth." Orin's feathers ruffled. "Will I lose myself?" "Only if you stop returning." What was Orin's dream? That night, after helping so many others, Orin sat alone beneath a branch and asked himself something he hadn't asked in a long time. What do I dream of? He had seen so many fears, so many sorrows. But what about his own heart? He remembered an old vision, not of fire, not of shadows, but of flight. Flying farther than anyone had flown, beyond the edge of the forest, beyond the mountains, even beyond the clouds, where stars sang and light turned into sound. That was his dream, a visit from a young sparrow. The next morning, as Orin closed his eyes for rest, a small voice chirped below. "Excuse me?" said a young sparrow with trembling wings. Orin blinked slowly. "Yes? I think I lost my dream," the sparrow said. "I can't find it. I can't even sleep. I just keep thinking too much." Orin's heart softened. This was not a dark dream, not a nightmare. It was something even quieter, the fear of being forgotten by your own hopes. A gentle search. That night, Orin didn't enter a nightmare. He entered a silence. In the sparrow's dream, there was only fog and silence. No sky, no color, no movement, just waiting. But Orin flew gently, softly through the mist, whispering as he went. "Do you remember the first time you felt the wind? Do you remember how the sun warmed your wings? Do you remember singing to the sky?" Slowly, the fog began to part, and a single feather, golden and glowing, drifted down. The sparrow's dream was returning. Morning brighter than ever. The little sparrow awoke with a tiny gasp and burst into flight. He didn't even say goodbye. He was too busy living again. Orin smiled. Helping others didn't always mean fighting shadows. Sometimes it meant finding forgotten light. A lesson for tonight. Not every fear shouts. Some fears whisper. And not every dream is lost. Some are just waiting to be remembered. By listening to bedtime stories in English, you're not just learning a language. You're learning how to see the unseen in yourself and others. Your dreams matter. And so do you. Part 10. The Starfall. Dream. One night, as the forest bathed in moonlight, a strange wind blew from the north. It carried no scent, no warmth, just a soft hum, like a lullaby half forgotten. Orin, resting on the elder tree, opened one eye. The stars above flickered. And then one fell. Then another. and another. Dozens of stars began tumbling from the sky, not burning, not crashing, but gently drifting down like golden leaves. Orin's feathers tingled. Something ancient was happening. The moth keeper appeared beside him. "It's begun," she said. "What has?" asked Orin. "The dream of the world." A dream too big for one mind. The dream of the world was rare. So rare, it came only once in 1,000 nights. It was not the dream of one creature, but the shared dream of every creature, big and small, near and far. A single dream formed from the hearts of all who had ever slept beneath sky or sea. And Orin, the dream carrier, was being pulled into it. Not just to visit, but to guide. Entering the starfall, as he closed his eyes, Orin felt weightless. He drifted through space, not air, not forest, but memory light. He saw a deer who wished she told her child she loved her, a raccoon who regretted stealing from his brother, a fish who dreamed of swimming in the sky, a mountain that missed being a volcano. Every dream, every wish, every whisper, all together. But something was wrong. In the center of the dream, a dark knot pulsed. It wasn't a shadow like before. It was emptiness, an ancient loneliness. The forgotten dream. It was the dream of a creature that no longer lived, a species gone, a voice erased by time. But its longing remained, echoing silently across the dream of the world. Orin hovered near it, unsure. "How do I help what is no longer here?" he asked aloud. And then, without warning, a breeze answered, "Remember us." A flight of memory. Orin did what only he could. He opened his wings and remembered. He remembered every creature he had helped: Luma, Tolla, Bran, the little sparrow. He remembered their hopes, their fears, their light. And with each memory, he sent out a soft glow, tiny stars, fluttering like fireflies. The dark knot pulsed once more, then slowly unraveled. Not with noise, but with peace. The dream ends. Orin awoke before dawn, the starlight still fresh on his feathers. He didn't speak. He just looked at the sky. The stars above now burned brighter, as if cleaner, as if they had cried, and now felt relief. The moth keeper sat beside him. "You helped the world remember something it lost," she said. Orin didn't nod. He just closed his eyes and rested. A reflection for you. Sometimes we carry dreams we don't understand, and sometimes the world forgets parts of itself. But every time you listen, every time you care, you help remember. And that's why listening to stories in English before sleep is so powerful, because you're not just learning words. You're joining the dream of the world. Part 11. The Night of 1,000 Eyes. After the dream of the world, Orin rested for 3 full days. He slept not because he was tired, but because something deep inside him needed silence. Even dreams, it seemed, needed time to settle. But on the fourth night, the stars above changed again. They didn't fall this time. They watched. One by one, new stars appeared in the sky. Tiny glowing points, each with an eye that blinked, an eye that saw. The eyes were watching Orin. Everywhere he flew, Orin felt their gaze. Soft, curious, ancient. The moth keeper appeared from her cocoon of silver leaves and whispered, "You've been noticed." "By whom?" asked Orin. "By the watchers between worlds, beings who live in forgotten skies. They see all dream walkers, but only follow those who may change something." Orin's feathers twitched. "Change what?" "No one knows," the moth keeper said. "They only watch until it's time." The squirrel who dreamed too loudly. That same night, a young squirrel named Mino ran up to the elder tree in a panic. I had a dream, he squeaked, and I think I broke something. Orin glided down. What did you see? Mino wrung his tiny paws. I dreamed I climbed the tallest tree in the world, but then I slipped, and I kept falling and falling, and I didn't wake up. Orin narrowed his eyes. And then I hit something, but it wasn't ground. It was a mirror, and it cracked. Cracked mirror in the mind. That night, Orin entered Mino's dream. What he found surprised him. The dream didn't feel personal. It felt shared. He was falling, yes, alongside Mino, but when they hit the glass, they saw thousands of other creatures. Looking back through the mirror, all trapped, all lost in dreams that repeated like broken records, some crying, some screaming, some frozen in fear. These are the unwoken, came a whisper from above. Orin looked up. The sky was full of glowing eyes. The eyes finally spoke. You have walked dreams, they said. You have soothed fear. But now you must make a choice. Orin steadied himself. What choice? Will you stay in your forest? Or leave it to find the dreams no one else dares enter? Mino clung to his feathers, frightened. Orin thought of the creatures he had helped and the ones he had never seen suffering in silence. He didn't answer out loud. He simply flew higher, toward the stars. A question to sleep on. Would you rather stay safe in what you know, or take a step into the unknown, if it meant helping others? Dreams are not just stories. They are mirrors. And when you learn English through stories like these, you're not only improving your language, you're unlocking parts of yourself that can see far beyond words. Part 12. The Path of Unseen Wings. Orin soared higher than he ever had before. Above the forest, above the clouds, even above the stars with eyes. The sky was silent, until it wasn't. With a shimmer of golden threads, a door appeared mid-air, not made of wood or stone, but woven from dreams. It pulsed softly as though breathing. Orin hovered before it. Behind him, the forest called with comfort. Ahead, the unknown whispered with mystery. And the stars whispered once more. This path is not safe, but it is needed. Crossing over, Orin folded his wings and floated forward. The moment he passed through the dream door, everything changed. No trees, no ground, no time. Only a sea of unfinished dreams. Some sparkled like wishes, others trembled like fears. A few flickered like forgotten thoughts. And floating among them were beings like Orin. Owls, doves, butterflies, even fish, all glowing softly, silently working. These were the keepers of the unfinished, and Orin had just joined them. Meeting Era, the featherless owl among the other dream guides, one stood out. An owl with no feathers, only light in the shape of wings. Her name was Era. I know you, she said as Orin approached. You see what others cannot. Orin blinked. Why are you featherless? She smiled. Because I carry the dreams of others inside me. My feathers were too small to hold them. Orin's heart fluttered. Do we lose ourselves here? Era tilted her glowing head. We share ourselves. That's how we grow. The dream that refused to end. That night, Orin was asked to help with a difficult dream, a dream that looped endlessly. It belonged to a young wolf who had once lost her pack during a storm. In her dream, she kept reliving that moment, calling their names, running through the rain, always arriving too late. Again and again and again. Most dreamwalkers had tried. All had failed. But Orin didn't try to fix the dream. He simply entered it with her, ran beside her, cried with her, waited in the rain. Until one day, the wolf stopped, turned to him, and asked, "If I leave this dream, will I forget them?" Orin touched her with his wing. "No, you'll remember them better, without pain." A dream finally ends. The storm slowed, the rain stopped, and the wolf's dream, for the first time, allowed her to wake. She howled softly in her sleep, not in sorrow, but in memory, a thought for tonight. Sometimes we don't need advice. We just need someone to walk beside us in the rain. That's what stories do. And when you listen in English, you're not only learning a language, you're learning how to be there for others, even in silence, even in dreams. Part 13. The Island of Forgotten Names. After guiding the wolf's dream to peace, Orin was led further through the sea of unfinished dreams. It stretched endlessly, a glowing ocean of thoughts, memories, and hopes not yet complete. But then, something new appeared. An island, floating in the middle of the dream sea, made of soft clouds and shattered memories. It had no name, because it held the names of those who had lost their own. The nameless children. As Orin landed, dozens of dream children turned their eyes toward him. None spoke. None smiled. They stared as if waiting for something or someone, but they didn't know what. Era appeared beside Orin and whispered, "These are not spirits. These are dreams of people forgotten, the names never spoken, the stories never told." Orin's heart ached. How can we help them remember who they are? "You must speak a name into the wind," she said. "Not any name, the right one." Keenly. Name in the feathers. Orin perched among the children, closing his eyes. He remembered something, a lullaby once sung by an old rabbit long ago. It had no words, only tones, and in its sound was a name, Lyra, a name waiting to be remembered. He whispered it gently. "Lyra?" One of the dream children gasped. Color returned to her cheeks. I had a kite," she said softly. "It was red. It flew higher than the trees." The wind shifted. Another child stirred. And then another. A storm of memory. But memory can be heavy. The more names Orin remembered, the more the sky swirled. A dream storm was forming. Forgotten names were powerful. Too many spoken at once could unravel the balance of dreams. Era shouted, "You must stop!" Orin whispered into the wind, and the dream answered. A vision unfolded. A little girl, Mali, laughing as she planted the tree, tying a ribbon to its branch, singing to it softly. But time passed, and so did Mali. The ribbon faded. The song stopped. But love didn't die. It only slept. Orin touched the tree's heart with one dream feather, and the bark glowed, not with fire, but with memory. The tree wake's leaves returned, green and gold and silver. The field brightened, and from the sky a breeze arrived, carrying the voice of an old woman. "I never forgot you. I just got older." It was Mali. In her final dream, she had returned to say goodbye. The tree trembled, not from sorrow, but from peace. "Thank you for waiting." And the dream let go. Orin's quiet flight. Orin flew back into the dream sea slowly, not tired, just full. Full of the truth that even the oldest dreams still matter. That love, once planted, never really dies. A thought to rest with. You may not always see the fruit of kindness. You may not always be remembered right away. But if you plant something with love, it lives on. And when you listen to stories in English before sleep, you plant seeds inside your mind of language, understanding, and heart. They will grow, even if it takes time. Part 15. The Forest That Couldn't Sleep. After the dream of the old tree, Orin drifted gently through the sea of dreams. He thought he might rest for a while, but then he felt something unusual: restlessness. A place, not a person, was dreaming. But this dream was not peaceful. It was a forest that could not fall asleep, a forest of waking whispers. Orin entered the dream. Tall trees surrounded him, but none moved. No wind, no bird song, no rustling leaves. The forest was awake, too awake, and it was tired. In the silence, Orin heard whispers. What if the sun never comes back? What if the stars forget us? What if the sky falls while we sleep? It was a forest filled with fear. The fear of letting go. The forest had watched creatures sleep for thousands of years. Animals, birds, insects, all trusting the night. But it had never dared to sleep itself. What if we miss something important? A tree whispered. Orin perched on its branch. What if staying awake means missing your dream? He asked. The tree shook slightly. But how can we be sure dreams are safe? Orin replied softly. Dreams may not always be safe, but they are sacred. The ritual of the first dream. Orin knew what to do. He called upon a wind made of lullabies. He asked the fireflies to glow like stars. He gathered the dream feathers he had kept, and he told a story. A story of a stone that dreamed it was a river, of a cloud that dreamed it was a song, of a girl who dreamed herself whole. As he spoke, the trees listened. Their branches drooped, their roots loosened, their leaves shimmered, and finally, they sighed. The forest sleeps. It happened all at once. The entire forest exhaled, and the silence turned into stillness, not tense, but peaceful. Orin stayed a little while longer, gliding gently through the trees like a dream keeper. He smiled. Even the strongest places sometimes need permission to rest. A soft thought for tonight. You do not need to carry everything. Even forests sleep. Even stars blink. Even hearts need stillness. And when you listen to English stories like this at night, you're not only learning words, you're learning how to let go. Let your thoughts soften. Let your breath slow. Let your dreams begin. Part 16. The boy who dreamed of silence after helping the forest sleep. Orin drifted along the dream wind once again. But this time, something unusual pulled at him. A dream with no sound at all. Not a whisper, not a word, not even a heartbeat. It felt like someone had locked the dream away behind invisible doors. And yet, Orin felt a soft ache within it. He followed the stillness and found a boy. The dream without words. The boy sat in the middle of an empty room. His eyes were open, but his mouth never moved. In his dream, there was no voice, no laughter, no music, just silence. Orin tried to speak, but the words melted before they could reach the air. He doesn't hear dreams, said a soft voice behind Orin, but he feels them. It was Era, glowing faintly in the shadows. This boy was born into a world of silence. He never learned words the way others did. The language beneath language. How does he understand? Orin asked gently. Era smiled. He listens with his heart. Orin blinked. So he sat beside the boy. Not with words, with presence. He let his feathers ripple like waves. He let his dreams shimmer like soft colors. He painted stories into the air, stories with shapes and motions instead of sentences. And the boy smiled. For the first time in his dream, he reached out. And together, they built a dream made of movement, light, and trust. A dream in colors. The boy showed Orin his world, a song drawn in swirls, a question shaped like a mountain, a hug written in blue. Each color meant something. Each movement carried meaning. Orin didn't need words. He just needed to see all what we learn without speaking. When the dream ended, the boy held up a sign, one he had made inside his dream, glowing gently. It read, "Thank you for listening without sound." Orin's feathers shimmered with quiet wonder. A reflection for tonight. Not all understanding comes through words. Sometimes we hear best when we don't try to speak. When you learn English through stories, you're doing more than learning grammar. You're learning to understand others, even those who speak differently. You're learning the language of empathy. And that is the most powerful language of all. Part 17. The Dream Collector's Lantern. Orin had guided many dreams of forests, forgotten names, silent hearts, and old trees. But tonight, something shimmered faintly across the dream sea. A light, not a star, not a firefly, but a flickering lantern, floating alone. Curious, Orin flew toward it. The closer he came, the colder the air felt, not with fear, but with loneliness. Then he saw her, a tiny figure sitting by the lantern, wrapping glowing threads around tiny orbs. She was the dream collector. The collector of left behind dreams. She looked like a child, but her eyes held centuries. Each orb she held was a dream someone had left behind. A story never finished, a melody never sung, a wish whispered once and forgotten. "I keep them safe," she said without looking up, "in case someone comes back for them." Orin asked, "And if they never do?" She paused, then whispered, "Then I dream them myself." A lonely job. No one ever visited the dream collector. Her job was not glorious. She did not guide dreams like Orin. She simply waited, guarded, believed. "Don't you ever feel tired?" Orin asked. She looked up, her eyes glowing softly. "I'm not waiting for people. I'm waiting for hope." The forgotten dream of a feather. Orin noticed one orb glowing slightly brighter. He reached out and gasped. It was his, a dream he had long forgotten, of flying beyond the stars, of touching the moon. He had once believed he could do it as a young owl, but over time, he gave up. "I didn't think anyone remembered," he whispered. The collector smiled. "I did. That's why I saved it." The lantern grows brighter. Orin, filled with quiet wonder, offered the collector something in return. A feather, one laced with all the dreams he had carried, helped, and healed. When she took it, her lantern flared, bright enough to light the path for other forgotten dreams to find their way back. All around them, soft lights began to float in from far corners of the dream sea. The dream collector wasn't alone anymore. She never truly was. A thought for your heart tonight. Every dream matters. Even the ones you forget. Even the ones you give up on. They wait for you, patiently, until you are ready. When you listen to English stories before bed, you are also collecting dreams. Dreams of fluency, understanding, growth. And just like the dream collector, you're believing in something beautiful, even if it hasn't happened yet. Part 18. The Mirror in the Sky. After giving his forgotten dream to the dream collector, Orin felt lighter. But not just in his feathers, in his heart. He soared higher than ever through the dream sea until he reached something extraordinary. Above him, far above clouds and stars, hung a massive mirror, floating silently. It reflected not his face, not his wings, not the sky, but his truth. The mirror shows who you really are. Orin approached it cautiously. The mirror shimmered and whispered, "Most avoid me. I don't show what you want to see. I show what is." Orin took a deep breath and looked into it. At first, he saw his mistakes, the dreams he couldn't save, the stories he rushed, the names he forgot. He wanted to turn away, but the mirror held him gently and changed. The second reflection, now it showed something else. The dreamer who taught silence could speak. The tree that waited 100 years and finally bloomed. The lantern he lit for the dream collector. The mirror showed both his flaws and his light, his wounds and his wings, and in the center, a soft golden glow. "You are not your failures," the mirror whispered. "You are what you choose to learn from them." A gift from the stars. As Orin watched, a crack appeared in the mirror. Not from damage, but from transformation. It split gently and revealed a glowing feather inside. A star feather. A gift from the sky itself, only given to those who had faced themselves fully. Orin took it carefully, his wings trembling. With this, he could now enter dreams that were locked, cursed, or wounded. He had earned a deeper kind of flight, the mirror's blessing. Before he left, the mirror gave one last whisper. "Return when you're ready to see the world not as it is, but as it could be." And with that, Orin flew down from the stars, holding the glowing feather close. He had more to do. A gentle reminder for tonight. Sometimes the hardest thing is to face your own reflection. Your weaknesses, your missed chances, your forgotten dreams. But it's also the bravest thing. When you listen to stories in English, you're not just learning a language, you're learning how to understand yourself. And that is where real growth begins. Part 19. The girl who wrote on the wind. Orin, now carrying the star feather, flew lower through the sea of dreams. He noticed a strange current, one that didn't come from the stars or the skies, but from words, invisible words, swirling on the wind like smoke, like petals, like thoughts spoken and forgotten. Curious, Orin followed the trail. It led to a hill, where a girl stood, eyes closed, arms out, whispering into the breeze. Her voice carried stories. She wasn't dreaming in pictures or in sound. She was dreaming in air. Each time she whispered, the wind shifted. "You are not alone. You are stronger than you believe. Some hearts are built from broken pieces." Her words didn't land on paper or stay in the sky. They disappeared. "Why do you let them go?" Orin asked, finally revealing himself. She smiled softly. "Because the ones who need them will hear them, even if I never know." A dream that gives without asking. She was a dream sower, a rare kind. She didn't dream for herself. She dreamed for others. "Even when no one listens?" Orin asked. She nodded. "Especially then." She didn't chase rewards or praise or proof. She only sent out kindness like seeds, trusting the wind to plant them where needed. Orin blinked. This was one of the purest dreams he had ever seen. The dream that got lost. But not all her words reached heart. Some got tangled in fear. Some were caught in storms. Some dissolved before they touched anyone. She looked tired. So Orin took out the star feather and with one stroke carved her whispers into the dream sea itself. They could no longer disappear. They would float, glow, and find dreamers in their sleep, especially the ones hurting most. The girl gasped. You kept my words alive? Orin smiled. No, you did. I just gave them wings to whisper for you. Tonight, your words matter. Even the quiet ones, even the ones you think no one hears, even the ones you say only to yourself, they carry light. When you listen to stories in English, you're learning how to speak gently, to others and to yourself. You're planting seeds, even in the dark. One day they will bloom. Part B. The dream Orin never knew he had the sky. Above the dream sea shimmered brighter than ever before. Orin had helped dreamers face silence, memory, fear, and even themselves. He had flown through forgotten forests, met dream keepers and whisperers, and carried light through shadows. But now, as he drifted above the world below, Orin felt a strange pull. Not to a new dream, but to his own. A dream he had never dared to ask for. This door made of starlight. At the center of the dream sea, where no owl had ever flown, stood a door. It was made of light, stars, and all the unspoken things in the universe. Orin had seen thousands of dreams, but this one was his. He trembled. What if I'm not ready? He whispered. A quiet voice answered, not from around him, but from within. You've always been ready. You just had to believe. Orin touched the door with his star feather. It opened. The dream of flight beyond. Dreams. Inside, Orin saw a memory. A tiny owlet looking up at the moon, wishing he could do more than fly. He wanted to help people feel seen. He wanted to guide those lost in the dark. He wanted to believe that even a small owl could change something. Orin began to cry. Not out of sadness, but peace. Because he had done it. Every dream he entered, every heart he touched, every word you've heard, was his dream unfolding all along. A dream that belongs to you. Before Orin flew on, he left something behind. A small glowing feather, not for himself, for you. Yes, you, the one listening to this story right now. He left it to remind you that every time you listen, you grow. Every time you learn a new English word, your world gets bigger. Every time you close your eyes with hope, a new dream begins. Final thoughts for your heart. Tonight, you are not just learning a language. You are learning how to listen, how to feel, how to believe in your own journey. The owl who could see dreams has flown many skies. Now, it's your turn. To dream, to grow, to fly. Dreams are not what we see when we sleep. They are what wake us up inside.